He's so funny.
He's the best. I love these interviews.
So fascinating and interesting. This is what the Mafia kind of needed, right? That juice the Mafia needed. You know, it was up and down all season. 5 total touchdowns from Josh Allen Sunday. You think this might have been the best he's ever looked?
Jay, I've been tough on the Mafia. Everybody knows that. This was by far the best Josh Allen has played from a football fundamental standpoint from a variety of reasons. And it's easy to say, oh, yeah, he didn't have turnovers. But if you look what he did here, especially early, he gets other people involved. It wasn't just him and Diggs. Gabe Davis gets involved. Here, we got a 5-yard stick route to the tight ends. Let your guy go make some plays. Again, what I found in the past was with Josh Allen, in some of these moments, he would get really locked in on Stephon Diggs and then make a lot of plays by scrambling around and being Superman, which he can do, and it's not a bad thing. But they have weapons around him, and today was the first day where it was flawless execution. He threw to 8 different receivers, and all that's going to do is make things easier for the connection he has with Diggs, which we saw in the second half. When you get Gabe Davis involved and you get Kincaid, the tight end, and Knox involved, you can't sit there and just focus all of your attention on Stephon Diggs. And then you saw Stephon Diggs just absolutely torching the DBs. Huge day.
Absolutely massive day.
And that, to me, is why, you know, beyond the turnovers, why I love this performance from Josh Allen, because I thought it was the most balanced he was. I thought he took what the defense gave him. And if he consistently plays like that, look out. You heard it here, Bills Mafia. I'm not on the bandwagon yet, but a couple more performances like that, and I'm jumping on, and this team has got nobody will be able to stop them. They play like that.
Played like an MVP.
Yes.
The other guy we were talking about as the MVP was Tua, and the Bills defense had an answer for him. The Dolphins put up 70 on the Broncos. We know the Broncos are a flawed team, but what happened to the Finns on Sunday?
You know, I think it started early in the first quarter where the Dolphins are not a team that wants to spread the ball around, you know, and throw it 45 times a game. They have a run game that we seemingly don't talk about. But that being said, it was really minimized in the first half especially. The numbers looked okay at the end of the night because Achan broke a 55-yarder off in the fourth quarter when they were up 20. But basically, they made this offense, in my opinion, one-dimensional. So they took away this run game, and then they were able to play soft zone behind it because they were getting pressure with the front four without having to bring blitz packages. And then you saw there in that last clip, it really forced Tua into doing things I don't think he's super comfortable. He made some mistakes. Next thing you know, when your offense is firing and you're up 20 points, now you really become one-dimensional. You got to push the ball down the field. And it's not what this Miami offense is designed to do. So I think that, you know, is the blueprint made? I really think the start of it was stopping this run game. And then, again, the lead helps and the soft coverages. And Miami didn't look as great as they've looked the first 3 weeks.
Last question, you said you were impressed by Zach Wilson's play.
Yeah, no, he played his tail off. He battled. We have a good defense, and he made a lot of big-time throws into the windows and down the field. And I've watched him since BYU days, so I was proud of him to go out there and show out. But luckily, we got the win in the end.
That's awesome. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate having me.
You know you've reached iconic status in the league when you can start to comment about the other quarterbacks you've already beaten just a second ago.
Yeah, and it's kind of like your little brother. Like,
Yeah.
you know, oh, I don't know if I would love that if I was Zach Wilson.
I don't know either. Can we talk about that defensive penalty at the end of the game that Robert Saleh was so upset about? What did you see there?
Yeah, it's kind of a 50-50 call for me, and a lot of it depends on the ref's angle. You know, I remember when we would go through training camp, Pete Carroll would bring officials in, and he would actually preach to us like, hey, this is the guy that's watching you. So if he sees this at this angle, like he's going to call it where, you know, to kind of know who's watching and where they're located, because depending on, again, where this official is, to me, when you slow it down, it doesn't look like much, but in live time, again, the angle he's looking at it, he sees that kind of arm wrapped around the back. I get why the flag was thrown.
This is one of those classic games where if you're checking it out a day later, right? Like if you're watching us on Monday morning and you just saw the score and you didn't see the highlight, you might be like, wow, this is a really close game. But really it wasn't. But are you still concerned about the Chiefs in any way for letting this Jets team get that close?
Concerned, no, because of the way that they finished. You know, you finish a game like that in that 8-minute drive and win it, that's a big-time play. But that being said, there's just a lot of uncharacteristic things that they're doing on the offensive side of the ball right now that has me scratching my head. You know, they come out here, the turnovers would be the first thing. These are very strange decisions to see such a high-caliber quarterback like Patty Mahomes making. And they're not great throws. They're not good reads. And again, Jay, where I say I scratch my head is because this guy's got 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
They've been to a 3rd one. They've won a ton in this league. Generally speaking, you don't see teams like this make mistakes like this, and it's not the first time this year. So to me, that does cause a small amount of concern, but I mean, they got to win in a tough situation in New York, and again, the final drive, I'm definitely not in panic mode, let's put it that way.
Taylor was watching. Everyone was watching. Zach Wilson, you know, Patrick Mahomes is very complimentary, and he was better. Was he good enough to convince you that he can actually be something in this league?
Absolutely not. And this is what was weird for me, Jay, is everyone it was just so quick to compliment this guy because he had a little bit of life. This is a starting quarterback in the NFL. I mean, let's go through here. Let's watch some film. This is the drive where he, ripped down the field. Watch his eyes. He does not leave after his first read on any of these plays. Bam, ball snap, stares down receiver, accurate throw, great throw. Got to give him that. Here in the end zone, right at his receiver. There's no sense of him here. Again, this was probably the best play of the night as far as, resiliency and tenacity goes. But there's absolutely no, let's manipulate this defense. Let's try and manipulate the defense with my eyes. Let's go through my progression. Being able to pre-snap read and deliver accurate balls should be the bare minimum in this league. So as much as, I appreciate everyone giving him compliments because he completed some passes.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic here. That is not, again, the bare minimum. That is not an excellent performance. I like this guy, but Collinsworth is on the broadcast saying, you can't play quarterback better than he's playing right now. I almost fell out of my chair. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, Jay. He's going through first reads and making accurate throws, and we're ready to crown him like, oh, he's arrived.
It's the bar was so low.
Agreed.
Right? The bar
I think
was
that
so
played
low.
into it.
No, it definitely played into it.
It's an electric interview right there.
It's just when he's angry and he turns inward, it's so entertaining. What's going on with the Patriots? What did you see on Sunday against Dallas?
Jay, this is, for me, as a former guy, probably the most confusing thing I've seen all weekend.
Wow.
And the reason I say that is for the past decade, when you think of New England, you think of disciplined football. You think of coaching, a group of guys that don't have turnover problems. They don't commit penalties. They play fundamentally sound. That's all the Bill Belichick tree preaches. And somehow they are probably the least disciplined team in the NFL and are just giving the ball away freely.
Yeah.
And it's wild to me because I know, again, having spent a year with Matt Patricia, who comes from that tree, the messaging that Bill sends is very, like I said, disciplined. Don't turn the ball over. And for Mac Jones to be rolling to his right and throwing back across his body, leading to a pick six, he's scrambling with the ball loose, and he's not an elusive runner, so he's got to know somebody's chasing him.
Yeah.
I mean, the ball's on the ground. They're missing blocks. They're committing penalties. For a Bill Belichick Patriot team to come out and have that type of performance, and hats off to my guy Dan Quinn and the Cowboys, but it was shocking to me. And that whole thing of Bill with the hand over his face, I can only imagine how irate and how nasty tomorrow morning's meeting is going to be with the boys in there. It'll be bad, trust me on that.
All you heard about in training camp for the Patriots is that Mac just barely beat out Bailey Zappi as the starting QB. It's surprising to me that he would commit so completely to Mac next week when he apparently has this kid right behind him.
It's shocking because it wasn't like these were, 50-50 balls that went awry.
Yeah.
So I think, Jay, we might be onto something here. When maybe he just didn't want to answer the questions, and he'll make his mind up later. I mean,
it would make perfect sense.
Yes.
He hates talking to all of us.
Probably my first time seeing him through this injury, an injury like this, besides, that knee. But being on the team with him just the first time like that. So, he just going through a little adversity. He going to be back good, in no time. So,
The team
keep fighting.
In 4 games this season, do you feel like you've had less time to get open and create space for yourself?
Nah, I'm open. I'm always open. Excuse my profanity. I'm sorry.
All right. What's going on with the Bengals? It's funny to us, but I suppose in a locker room that's a dangerous post-game interview to see.
Yeah, it is dangerous, and you never want to see Jamar Chase, one of the best players in the league, kind of talking like that. But I get the frustration, and I think that probably goes through everybody in that locker room because the Bengals right now, they just look so out of sorts.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. They can't protect Joe Burrow, which is a problem. But then the next thing is, with this amount of weapons, it's weird to see them fall off their chemistry and their rhythm like they have. They really struggle to throw the ball down the field, and it's been inaccurate. It's been off timing. And then the product that we saw last week, which worked, was they then resorted to quick game. Well, today they didn't have that going for them either, and they really didn't do much. And I'd like to sit here and be able to tell you, well, they need a run game. Joe Mixon has been solid, and he was solid today, and they got down a bunch, and they were forced to throw, which, again, with Jamar Chase, with Joe Burrow, should be a strength of this team. But right now, it might be the worst down-the-field throwing team in the NFL.
You wonder if that calf, you talked about that a while ago. He's still thinking about it. He can play, but he's not going to be able to stop thinking about it.
I think he's thinking about it, like you said, Jay, and I also think he's having to change, not his throwing arm mechanics, but just the amount of force he's putting in the ball.
Right.
And even if he's not the most mobile guy, sometimes just moving in that pocket a little bit really makes you a lot more comfortable. And now all of a sudden he looks to me a little more stiff, and the throws are not as accurate. Guys aren't getting as open. It's not a good time to be a Bengals fan.
Steelers struggling as well. If you had the cojones to tell Mike Tomlin what changes he would have to make to his team, what would you tell him?
At this point, Jay, they need to make a change in their offensive staff. And this is where my head goes. In the NFL, almost every team, to some degree, plans out their first 15 plays, not including third downs. You'll come in Saturday, you'll have a meeting that says, hey, on base downs, first and second downs, here are our thoughts for the first 15. We came out, as you're watching here, threw a pick on the first drive, went 3 and out, and went 3 and out. You score 0 points in the first half. And why I say they need to figure out what's going on with this man right here is because, generally speaking, those 15 plays do work to some degree because you spent all week crunching the numbers, looking at the data, scheming up what you think they'll do to them. And to be so far off, and not just this week, but every single week, is frightening. And the good news, I think, for Steelers fans is if they do make a change or somehow figure out a way to right this ship, they do have weapons. I mean, the Pickett thing, we'll have to see how bad the knee is.
That's the issue now, right?
Yes, but I mean, you have 2 good backs.
Yep.
Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. You're supposed to have a better offensive line. George Pickens is a star, in my opinion. It's not like they don't have weapons, but they go out there and just look lost, and to me, that is a coaching issue.